Afternoon and welcome to Open Mic, where we just have impromptu conversations. I am Carlos Ribero, marketing alchemist, and today we have with us Alice Bravo and the one, the only Nestor Torres.
No, not Torres. Suarez.
Suarez. I thought you said Torres. I'm
Suarez.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to call you Nestor Torres. I'm sorry.
No, won't be the first person.
Okay.
It's catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy, right? So thanks for being here on a very impromptu basis. And I think we all have, we definitely have something in common. We're all entrepreneurs. We're all on our own. As a matter of fact, Alice, I didn't tell you, Alicia, I didn't tell you this before, but I used to work for government as well. So before we start the conversation, please introduce yourselves. You're just going to look at me. We're going to have a conversation. What is it that you do now, and where did you come from?
Okay. So I'm Alice Bravo. I'm a civil engineer. I went to the University of Miami. I also have an MBA from FIU. I was born in Miami. I've lived here my whole life, and I started working as a civil engineer and got to work on a lot of big transportation projects here in Miami in terms of highway and transit. And then after a few years of that, I went to the Florida Department of Transportation, and I was there at an amazing time where there was a lot of funding for mega projects. So I was in charge of the Port of Miami Tunnel, the express lanes on I-95, big interchanges on the Palmetto Expressway, the 18-mile stretch to the Keys. And then after 6 or 7 years there, I went to the city of Miami, where I was ultimately the deputy city manager. And that was a great time as well, as we came out of the Great Recession and development picked up. Got to work on the development of a lot of the city-owned waterfront properties that required public referendum approval, as well as implementing the new Miami 21 zoning code, and just really saw what it took to build the urban fabric of the community. And then after 5 or 6 years there, I was asked to join Miami-Dade County as the transit director, and the public works director was merged into that position. So I was director of transportation and public works. And I got to work there with an amazing team. And we developed something called the SMART Plan, Strategic Miami Area Rapid Transit Plan. And that's 6 corridors that feed off the Metro Rail as extensions to the rest of the county. And now some of those projects are under construction or being negotiated or after procurements. So now they've transitioned the name to the SMART program, since it's actually happening.
Wow. Quite a career.
And now I'm a consultant engineer again.
Okay. So now you're on your own.
Yes. Alice Bravo and Associate.
All right. Awesome. And yourself, Nestor Torres. I got to call you Nestor Torres.
No.
Besides being a musician,
No.
what else
I
do you
wish.
do?
I wish. So definitely Suarez. So local, grew up here in South Florida, and fellow Hurricane at the University of Miami. From there, I was actually recruited from one of my professors who was running at the time, a multi-million-dollar computer company that eventually turned into a multi-billion-dollar company called TigerDirect.com.
Wow.
So that was a fun experience there. Got to grow up in the world and see the transition from direct marketing and how it evolved back, in that 90s era as it moved into the internet. And the experience there, got into the internet and said, this is for me, and this is what I want to do for a living. We talked about a little bit off camera. Bought some of the domains that were available early on, like MiamiSprings.com, MiamiCars.com, and today still operate those, and as well as offering consulting services for local businesses who need help with, again, e-commerce, digital marketing, conversion, customer acquisition, and everyone needs sales growth. So doing that, and that's what pays the bills these days.
All right. So, Alice, what was that transition like? You went from government position where you've got to have obviously a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of layers, to now you're on your own. How was that transition, and what do you like and dislike about each of those? Working for the government, big government, working for yourself?
I think the most interesting part about working in government, actually two parts. You meet the people that you're serving. You're a public servant, and at the city of Miami, you'd go with a commissioner to a constituent's house, and you'd see somebody, the real life issues that we're struggling with, and then to take that back and formulate policy changes or ordinances that could help improve quality of life of people, I think was significant. And then going to the county as the Transit and Public Works Director, you see the importance of transit in people's lives. There are a lot of people that can't afford a car, depend on transit. Getting people that do have cars to use transit reduces congestion. That's good for businesses that are moving goods around. So that ability to effectuate change and improve our community and implement projects that help improve the quality of life is amazing. It's grueling at times, and there's a lot of intense moments in terms of politics or media scrutiny, et cetera, as to what happens. And there's big political debates, and it's democracy in action. But at the end of all of that, if you talk to everybody and address the issues correctly, you can make great things happen. And as a consultant, you get to control your own destiny to a certain respect in terms of what you work on, who you work with, and how you take all that knowledge and experience and translate it to help others keep doing good work and serving the people.
Excellent. Nestor, she worked on highways, you worked on the information superhighway, and continue to do so. Tiger Direct was it for a long time, a monster.
Yeah.
They're still operating online, am I correct? Or not?
They were bought out, and then they
Okay.
changed kind of their business model. And so, at the peak, we were a top 25 internet retailer in the country.
You got stores?
We had physical stores, but the beast was online.
Okay.
And we drove it was over $1 billion in online revenue a year. It was huge, and it was crazy in terms of, talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday and the madness of what's involved when you're handling thousands of transactions an hour. It was incredible. So that was a fun ride, and it was very addictive. In fact, loved it dearly. Never thought of really kind of leaving that because it was just a great environment. Unfortunately, there was a management change that happened there, and then new management comes in. You're going, am I trusting my future with these guys? And you start changing your career perspective and going, all right, it's time to make some other changes. And at that point, I decided, hey, I'm going to go on my own. And I was a little got a curveball where I got recruited by BrandSmart, who said, hey, we want to grab this guy who's experienced here. And so joined the BrandSmart team, help them
Online?
online
Business?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they were kind of developing their online business. Obviously, they were huge here in South Florida from a retail perspective, but had a kind of an infancy in terms of their online package. So we helped kind of grow all their infrastructure for online, where it was different marketing units, from affiliate marketing, Google marketing. So we helped develop, build their online sales. And then again, I got that kind of urge, hey, I've been wanting to do this kind of on my own for some time. I already had some properties I was already doing some stuff on my own. Decided at that point, okay, let's do this and go on your own, and make it happen, and just do it.
Okay. The old
Just go make it happen.
Just go make it happen. Alice, you told me you had a pretty long career in public works and transportation. Is there one signature project that you say, this one really made an impact, either on you, the community, like this one was really different? Is there something that sticks out?
Well, there's several.
Okay, give me a couple.
I'll give you the top two.
Okay.
So number one, I think was the 95 express lanes. Before that, you basically had 4 lanes, one in each direction. One lane was an HOV, and then the other 3 were regular lanes. So HOV was high occupancy vehicle to carpool lane. Yeah. And basically, that lane was moving just as slowly as the other lanes. And I always felt like, I'm stuck in traffic. I would pay anything to get somewhere where I'm going. And we came up with that plan for 95 where basically, without widening the highway, we restriped the lanes and we created 2 express lanes instead of 1 HOV lane, and the 3 regular lanes. So that express lane, or the 2 express lanes, has a variable toll. And so that's how you keep those 2 lanes from being overly congested.
Okay.
And basically they become free flowing. So the day you need it, you have the option of paying that toll and using that lane. And at first it was counterintuitive. People thought, well, this is for wealthy people, et cetera. But the studies showed in other cities that who uses it, it might be a plumber, it might be a realtor, or somebody that makes many trips during the day, and it's worth it to them to have that option.
Yeah.
So it coupled technology. It coupled, this kind of these free market principles of the supply and demand impacting the price of the lane. And it also included a transit component. So the toll revenues paid for an express bus service that would be flowing
Wow.
at the same speed as the cars. So you didn't have to build a metro rail or anything, but provided that high quality rapid transit experience.
Brilliant.
So-
Win-win.
Win-win. And then I think the next super impactful project was the Port of Miami Tunnel. So everyone might remember all that land between 395
Yes.
and the American Airlines Arena was basically surface parking lots. And there were 18-wheelers all throughout the day on all those avenues and streets crisscrossing, and that's why really that land wouldn't be developed. The Port of Miami Tunnel gets built, and a project called Miami World Center emerges, and now you have 60-story buildings going up on what were surface parking lots. There's bicycle lanes, there's restaurants, there's office space. And so what was a no man's land has now been turned into a huge thriving urban center that creates jobs, good for the economy, lets people live close to downtown. Now they don't need to be on a car on US 1 for an hour. It really shows the impact of infrastructure investment. And
Awesome.
that required a lot of politics. And the funding partners were the DOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, the Miami-Dade County, the City of Miami. And as those negotiations kicked off, it ultimately led to something called the Global Agreement that also helped fund a number of other projects. So it was an important time
Those are big
for
projects.
Miami-Dade County.
Those are big projects. How about you, Nestor? Any projects in your mind, either at Tiger Direct or on your own, that just stick out to you?
One of my favorite stories was, and this is going back to the 90s, right? So we used to do these letters from the president, and there were these direct mail pieces came from the president, and go out in the mail. And you could tell when the mail started hitting people's mailboxes, because the phone starts lighting up, and we'd have these call monitors, and the calls would light up. Okay, great. So, and I said to the guys, we have, this internet thing. We have, and now it seems, obvious, but at the time, we're talking about again in the 90s. I said, why don't we do the same effort and send emails? And it doesn't cost us anything to send an email to someone. It seems obvious now. But at the time, it was like, why don't we do this and just send emails with same offers, a letter from the president of the company, and tell them, why they should buy this particular product. So we started doing it, start building our email list. And I remember the day we had this crazy deal on a piece of memory. And we send out this email. And again, this is back in the 90s. And the call center just lights up. And I go by the salespeople and says, hey, what are people calling about? Oh, they're calling about that memory deal. And it was incredible. And from then, it was, okay, now it became a drug in terms of the company. The excitement when and the quick action of what happens when you have an offer, you immediately, the turnaround time from within 24 hours, you can go from offer to distribute the offer to this email list that eventually grew to over 4 million subscribers. It was huge. And send out the campaign, and then within 24 to 48 hours, have the entire results of whether it was good or not, and how much revenue came from that campaign. And that was one of the most addictive things, that high of when you have a great offer and the sales go through the roof. As well as sometimes you'd have an email and go, oh my God, that was horrible. People did not like that particular offer. But people would vote with their hard-earned cash, whether they liked it or not. And so you're constantly looking at, okay, What are people responding to? What do they like? And
Yeah.
adjusting your offer, your messaging, and promotion to go on with that next campaign. It was just an incredible ride.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
Oh
huh?
my God! And then adjusting on the fly.
Yeah.
And I remember, gosh, we had a campaign. This was a Black Friday, and within 24 hours, you did $2 million just off emails in 24 hours. It's just incredible. So that was a lot of fun doing that. Today, I get a kick when my clients have a day like that and they're succeeding like that. We also enjoy, in terms of sharing. Like I said, we publish MiamiSprings.com, so if there's something local in our community that's happening, and sharing whether it's good news, whether it's a crime story, whether it's something controversial politically, and sharing that community, keeping the community informed. Much like community newspapers does today, but on a very singular community basis. Community newspapers obviously handles a lot more communities than we do.
So last question, we're out of time. This is for both of you, being Miamians as I am, born and raised here. I heard a comment today that a friend of mine's father told him 30 years ago that Miami was going to turn into New York. What do you think about that? Is it, with everything that's happening now, Miami being the hotspot of the world, what are you feeling?
I think New York wishes they were Miami.
I like that. I like that.
Because I think we have a lot of the good things New York does, without a lot of the bad things, and certainly there's the weather, obviously, but also in terms of that community fabric and the diversity, and I think this is a community where everybody's bonded. There isn't necessarily like the neighborhoods like you have in New York, and we're more environmentally friendly, we're more progressive in terms of planning and zoning codes and things like that. So I think we're better than New York.
Okay. Nestor?
Well, I'm going to completely agree. And there's that, we're Floridians here. We are homers. We love South Florida. But I have, and I called it a verb called the Manhattanization of Miami. And we're seeing it. You're seeing stuff going up and up and constantly happening. To some of your points, you're seeing, especially around the US 1 corridor, you see at some of the metro rail stations, the developments that have gone up, so around 37th Avenue and some of the other stations, and you see these residential complexes. Obviously, we were under a housing crisis right now. But definitely there is a Manhattanization happening with a Miami twist.
Okay.
Right? So it's that Miami flavor doesn't go away. But, we're limited. We have Everglades, we have the beach. We're built out. There's only one way to go but up. The only thing that I say that we need that New York beats us on is more rail. They just, obviously it's more expensive to build here. We can't go underground.
Right.
But we clearly need rail down here.
Got it.
Well, they started like 120 years ago.
Right?
New York, yeah.
Yes.
A little bit ahead of
Yeah,
us.
they definitely have a head start, but we absolutely need it.
Okay.
And we're very lucky we have the Metro Rail,
Yeah.
and we're very lucky we have sophisticated developers that are building around those stations. That
Great
goes a long
point.
way.
Excellent. Thanks for doing this on an impromptu basis. I really appreciate it, and hopefully there'll be a next time.
Carlos, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This is nice.
My
you so
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure. Thanks for